Добар ден, почитувани гледачи, за вас, но и за нашата денешна гостинка, амбасадорката на Кралството Холандија во земјава, госпоѓата Мариет Шурман. Ваша екселенцијо, по низата критики кои што земјава ги доби во последниот извештај од Европската комисија, може ли да кажеме дека Македонија реално е подготвена за влез во Европската Унија?
Well, I think, as has been said about the EU progress report, it is a mirror to Macedonia on where it stands on the way to Europe. And it's very positive that the recommendation stands for Macedonia to start accession negotiations. And I think that is when the real process starts for Macedonia to prepare itself for full membership.
Во извештајот беа споменати забелешки во однос на борбата против корупцијата, судството, јавната администрација, слободата на медиумите. Како вие ги оценувате напорите на надлежните во спроведувањето на реформите кои што од нас се бараат?
Yeah, well, I think as the progress report is balanced. It recognizes that some progress has been made, but also that some more efforts have to be put into some spheres, particularly those that affect rule of law. So indeed, administrative and judicial reform, fight against corruption, media freedom, more needs to be done. And I would support that. And I think in the end that's in the interest to all Macedonians to really have a proper functioning of the rule of law. It will benefit all citizens, but also the private sector.
Може ли да констатираме дека тие се најголемите слабости на македонското општество или еве каде вие ги лоцирате најголемите слабости?
I wouldn't talk about weaknesses of society. Societies exist and they transform itself continuously for all its society, and all societies have their challenges. And indeed, I think for Macedonia, these are challenges in the field of rule of law. I think the most important thing for societies is to clearly identify where the challenges are and to promote a debate within society, amongst the different communities, on how to resolve those and to collectively develop a vision for the future, for where Macedonia wants to be, and how it will give its own interpretation to what it means to be, let's say, unity and diversity, which is what Macedonia is about, which is what Europe is about.
Деновиве актуелен е пописот. Дали неговиот неуспех може да влијае на меѓуетничките односи во земјава?
Well, the census obviously is meant to be an objective exercise, an objective head count. And it can only be successful if it's done in an open, transparent and credible way so that the result is acceptable to all. Well, we have seen obviously that there were issues around the census. That is unfortunate. But I wouldn't say that that is a failure of the census. It just clarifies that there are still issues in Macedonian society when it comes to cooperation between the communities that need to be addressed.
Но дали тоа може да влијае врз меѓуетничките односи во земјава?
No, it will not affect it. It's a sign, of that issues have to be resolved. And the census is not going to either affect that situation, but it just illustrates that there are still issues that have to be worked on.
Вашата амбасада во моментов ја извршува и улогата на контакт амбасада за НАТО. Дали Македонија амбасадорке може да се надева на членство во Алијансата на следниот самит во април во 2012 година?
Well, the NATO extended a standing invitation to Macedonia, so yes, it can, provided that the bilateral issue is resolved.
Но може ли повторно проблемот со името да се наметне како пречка, како што тоа се случи на самитот во Букурешт?
Well, that is what the NATO Council, what has been said. There is an invitation for Macedonia to become a member, but the bilateral issue with Greece has to be resolved.
Кога зборуваме за прашањето за името, дали гледате некаков напредок или некакви шанси за брзо решавање на ова прашање?
Well, we witnessed obviously the expression of both prime ministers of a commitment to solve the issue. We welcome that, and we feel that that would be in the benefit of both countries and also of the wider region and of Europe as a whole.
Меѓународните представници многу пати досега укажуваа и искажаа загриженост во однос на слободата на изразување во земјава. Дали и вие го делите впечатокот дека слободата на изразување во Македонија е загрозена?
Well, freedom of expression is is obviously a key component of a free and open society, of a democratic society. And to that extent, we share the concerns that are raised in the EC Progress Report. And I think what is important for freedom of expression is the rule of law. It is the equality of all citizens before justice, before the laws, and that also entails protection of journalists, so that there are protections against any possible risk of selective justice, which could in the end lead to self-censorship.
Кралството Холандија е еден од најголемите донатори во земјава. Вашата амбасада се јавува како поддржувач финансиски, се разбира, на многу проекти во земјава. Во таа насока, колку сте задоволни од резултатите кои што ги гледате наоколу?
Well, yes, the Netherlands have been a very substantial supporter, partner of Macedonia. Since 1995, we invested about 200 million euros or a bit more in Macedonia's development. Right now we are moving to a next stage, to a more equal, mature partnership with Macedonia. But looking back at what we have achieved together in cooperation with Macedonia, I think we are absolutely content. I think particularly in the field of public finance management, the cooperation with the public revenue authorities, customs, the state audit office, but also with the judiciary, in terms of mediation, case law, other spheres of cooperation, and we see that we share the same kind of values that we want to build on, healthy lifestyles, creative living. So what we do with bikes, but also with modern design, with contemporary art, all these spheres where there has been a growing interaction between the Netherlands and Macedonia are, I think, important building blocks that we want to build on for even deeper and wider cooperation in the near future.
Вашата цел, меѓу другото, е да го зголемите присуството на холандските инвеститори на македонскиот пазар. Во таа насока, докаде се подготовките околу формирање на македонско-холандска комора, стопанска комора, и колку таа може да ја забрза економската соработка меѓу двете земји?
Well, I'm happy to say that we are close to formally launch the Macedonian Netherlands Chamber. It's a matter of waiting for a big enough membership so that we can really fully operationalize it. And obviously, as you said, the promotion of bilateral trade and bilateral investment is one of our core tasks, and we are committed to continue our efforts there. So far, we've been very pleased with the cooperation that we have with the Macedonian government in different sectors, be it tourism, but also agriculture, food, ICT, telecommunications, steel and construction. There's a lot of spheres where we have seen an increase of Dutch investments in Macedonia in the past couple of years, and that is something that we want to further develop and further increase.
Амбасадорке, холандските туристи се често во Македонија. Кои се нивните импресии за нашата земја?
Yes, as we say, people vote by their feet. So looking at the Dutch tourists, I think it is explanatory that the first Dutch tourists that came here in May were already back in August, and already we have the first bookings for next year. So I think that it's quite clear that the Dutch tourists that came were very happy here. They were happy with what was on offer. And they are eager to come back. So they are very pleased. And I must admit that actually we had more tourists this year than we anticipated. We got close to the 20,000 Dutch tourists this year to Macedonia. So we are engaged to continue working with the government on further developing that on the basis of the action plan that we drafted. And I'm convinced that it will not only attract the Dutch tourists, but also other tourists.
Ви благодарам што бевте наш гостин.
Thank you, it was a pleasure.
Вам, почитувани гледачи, ви благодарам за вниманието и ве поздравувам до следната недела.